Hello, hello. How is everyone today? How's it going? Welcome, welcome. I'm Rainbird, the boss of the Grizzly Woods Dungeon, where we test adventurers and welcome fae, beasts, and monstrosities to the fold. Hello, Namia. Hello, Indy. Hello, Air. Thank you very much for popping in. How are you guys tonight? Ooh, I lost track of time today. And just before I started, something broke that I had to fix. We love the scuff. Doing well. Hope you are well too. I am very well. I am a little bit scatterbrained. I was up too late. I got up too late. I hadn't eaten in time. I literally was munching my last bit of pizza when I hit start stream. Tonight I'm going to do a second part of D&D Basics 102. This is your second class. Very good. Glad to see everyone has attended. And we're going to look at actions, bonus actions, actually playing on the table. And that's the plan for tonight. We might use the character Namia made as an example. And I'm just going to use a random D&D setup that I already have from a game I run, just to have a token that I can move around and show stuff on. So that's the basic plans for tonight. I was kind of so rushed I couldn't do any of my shout outs, like my live shout outs on other social media, but it's fine. It's fine. We'll skip that for this one. Big finale, day 7 is tomorrow. That's going to be the end of my followathon. And tomorrow, I think I will do like a little ASMR stream, because I have done ASMR streams from time to time. I don't think I'm especially good at ASMR, but I like doing it. It's fun. So like maybe you'll enjoy it, maybe you won't, and tell me how to fix it. Okay, let's pop over to my other scene, and let's change what's on the background as well. Whoosh. And I'll have a little sit down. Oh, Ymir's still here. Hang on. There you go. Ymir's still hanging around from yesterday. Also, funny story, I once again misclicked on stop stream for my collab with Ymir yesterday. So there's like 5 or 6 minutes of after stream on the VOD of just me and Ymir chatting and hearing Seraph the Tyrant, who we raided into, having a like super cute jump around because he got a double raid, which is very exciting when you're a little streamer like ourselves. Let me make this bigger. That's too big. That's too big. 125. His excitement was cute. His excitement was adorable. I love that he actually just started spinning his little PNG tuber around the screen. So I'm kind of glad I captured that as well. And Ymir got a lot of super funny and cute clips out of it. I really have to get better at clipping, but we'll work on that too, on my big list of things I have to work on, which is actually in the same document. It's over here. Okay. In the last exciting episode, I want to move this to... No, it's fine there. In the last exciting episode, we went over a little bit of making a character, stats, class, background, feats, and race. And Nemia was our little guinea pig, so we made a character for him, which I will open the file for that as well, so we can reference it. A little gnome druid called Hollowroot. This will be my pre-eep stream, so if the hydrates stop, you know why. No worries, no worries. I appreciate the hydrates while you're here. Drift off anytime. Squeak, squeak. Nemia, did you wild shape into a mouse? Okay, so this is the sheet we made for Hollowroot the other day. And we'll use that as a reference for me talking about the things. Okay, so we'll get into actually playing this time. I was being a guinea pig. Ah, yes, I said that. I said guinea pig. You're right. They actually make more of a weep sound if you've ever had guinea pigs or daegu. Weep, 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 weep. I had a daegu. His name was Spud. They're a great pet. Okay. When you are playing at the table, especially in combat, you can do a couple of things on each of your turns. You won't always be in combat. Sometimes it will be like roleplay or quote unquote out of initiative. During those times, there aren't really turn orders. Your DM might do a specific thing. They might like keep an initiative and let each person say what their character would be doing. Or it might be very like free flow and RP, and you can jump into and out of the conversations when you want to. But during combat, normally at the start of combat, you will roll initiative, and initiative basically creates a turn order that'll be different for every combat. I have my initiative redeem up there. As you can see, everyone gets a number. So at the start of combat, you will roll initiative. Hollowroot, who has 0 dexterity. Thank you for rolling a check-in. Oh, Indy, thank you also. What have we got? A 13 and a 5. Nice. Aaron would technically go first. You've joined initiative 0 times. I will fix that. It should start at 1 and go up. The next one will say 1. Maybe I'll just leave it at 0. That's disgraceful for a rogue. I know what Indy plays now. Although I probably could have guessed that. Maybe a arcane rogue or a psi knife. That would be my guess. Or a trickster. Ooh, are you a trickster? Okay. Your initiative, which is this little box here, comes from your dexterity. So whatever you put into dexterity, it affects your initiative. It also affects your armor class, because your dexterity will make you better able to dodge. So we have our initiative. We roll them all. We're ready for combat. Let's look at the numbers. In an actual initiative, whoever has the highest number goes first. So your DM will roll initiative for your monsters, and you guys will roll your initiative, and then it'll all be put into an initiative tracker. And we can set one of those up right now. Turn order. Turn order is exactly what my little initiative tracker up there looks like. And we can add everyone. Let's see now. I usually do it by tokens. You can right click tokens in this particular virtual tabletop. So I usually don't put in names, but let's do it this way. So we'll put in Indie Ninja Girl add... Oh, we'll get rid of everyone else as well. We'll add Indy. Oh. My chat came in slow there. I can see it updated on the screen, but it didn't update on the side here. Damn, a 1, unlucky. Oh, well, at least... I mean, you can't get lower. You technically can. Not on my initiative tracker. 1's not so bad. Sometimes going later in the initiative is actually better, depending on what your plan is or how you play. I main rogue and sorcerer usually. Oh, I love sorcerers. I love how well they multi-class with others. Are you talking about D&D? We are, Cheese. We are talking about D&D. We're going over some of the basics. I did it. I finished with my coding today. Congratulations, Indy. You've been working on that in a while. I am so proud of you. Good job. Hell yeah, we are. Woohoo. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll make an actual initiative tracker here. Indy, you got a 5. And put that in there. We'll add Mia. Bop. We'll add Aaron. It's 2 A's. I can spell. No, I can't. I'm dyslexic. Cheese, do you want to roll initiative? It doesn't matter too much. This is only an example. I'll throw you in anyway. Cheese. Buggers. Pop. Namia, you had a 1. Aaron, you had 13. Nice. And Cheese, I'll leave you at 0 unless you roll the thing. But he'll be included in the example at least. And we will... Yeah, that's fine. Enter. We will add a monster. We'll add our little goo, this little guy. Just for a monster example. Add turn. So it adds him with a little token picture. And we'll roll initiative for him as well. /R 1d20. I think he has a +1. He's a little guy. 16. Fast little goo. Okay. And then you sort the order. So it would be Goo first, then Aaron, then Indy, then Mia, and then Cheese. Okay. So we'll say the Goo took its turn. Moved to there. He's a little guy, he can't move too far. Then it would be Aaron's turn. And on Aaron's turn, he can do a whole bunch of things. So let's look at his options. I punch and flurry of blows. That would be an option. Okay. You have actions, bonus actions, reactions, movement, and object interactions. Those are the very basic core fundamental things you can do on your turn. You can also do skill checks. Some skill checks are free, and some will cost your action. Or a bonus action, depending on if you have a special class thing to do it. I believe rogues can hide as a bonus action. Alright. So we'll start at the top. Actions. What are you going to do with your action? What are your options for that? Maybe we should start with movement first, actually. That's the easiest one. Every one of your turns, you will have some movement. Dodge, dash, and hide as bonus. Yes. Yeah, I love using my movement and then an action dash and then a bonus action dash. I love being able to cover so much ground. Okay, movement. I will use Hollow Root as an example. Hollow Root has 25 feet of movement. Each 5 feet of movement is 1 square on the board. So I'll show you that here. Knot Claw will be our little example here. And there's a little arrow tool here that lets you measure. So you can see each moving 1 square is 5 feet, moving 2 squares 10 feet, 3 15 feet, goes up in 5s. And Hollow Root's maximum movement is 25. So this is the kind of distance our little Hollow Root can cover. Up here. 25 feet. So Hollow Root can get to the little goo, or he could run away. Either or. That's the basics of movement. For your jump distance, I believe that is 5 foot plus your strength. I'd have to double check this. Don't at me if this isn't exactly right. -1. I don't know if it counts minuses, but you can definitely clear 5 feet with a normal strength. I'm pretty sure of that, without any rolls or anything. If you have to jump longer distances, your dungeon master might ask for an athletics, which is the skill down here, which for Hollow Root is also a -1. So lots of jumping is not recommended. Your characters might also have climb speeds. That means they don't have to do anything extra to do regular climbing. They can just go up walls and surfaces, climb trees and that. Hollow Root does not have a climb speed, but he does have wild shape and could turn into an animal with one. Alright, movement, fairly simple. It's your turn, you get to move. Each of your turns it resets, so you get your movement back on your next turn. Unless there's an ability or something that gets in the way of that. Now, actions is a slightly more complicated one. Line through movement, we'll see if we have to come back to it. Actions, you can do a whole bunch of things. Most of them will be in your character sheet. You can, for example, you could attack, you could grapple, you can hide. I actually have a cheat sheet that I use in my games of all the things you can do with your action here, or special actions. Grapple, shove, disarm. Most games don't use mark, don't worry about it. Cunning actions, that's the rogue one. That's all the stuff you could do as a rogue with your bonus actions, but we'll come back to that. Dodge, this is a pretty useful one that not a lot of people use. If you take the dodge, that means someone attacking you has a disadvantage on hitting you if you've taken it. Escape, this is for if you've been grappled, you can try to get out of that grapple. You can use strength to try and break free, or you can use your dexterity to try to slip out of it. And those skills would be athletics and acrobatics. You can ready an action. That's a lot more complicated, but basically you set a trigger for your action so you can do something that's not on your turn. So you are at a doorway and you know some guards that are after you are going to come through. You can't do anything on your turn because you don't want to go up to the door and shoot at the guards. You want to stay back. So you can hold an action or ready an action, and you can have a trigger that when you see a guard come through the door, you will fire. Then, in say 2 or 3 turns, when a guard does come through the door, you can go, "Hey DM, I had a held action." The DM should go, "Oh yeah, right, you can do that now," and then you can take your attack then instead of on your turn. It does cost your reaction, but we'll get into reactions as well in a little bit. Just giving you a quick overview of that. Thank you for the hydrate, Aaron. They're needed. Okay, that spot. Okay. Overrun and tumble are ones I don't see used too often, but you cannot move through enemy spaces unless you perform an overrun or a tumble. An overrun is basically just barging through your enemy, and that's using your strength abilities. And a tumble is using your dexterity or your acrobatics abilities. Just to explain that with an example, Knotclaw here wants to make a beeline straight through this enemy's space. In order to do that, they will have to either do an overrun to push through the space with their strength, or they'll have to do a tumble using their acrobatics to basically spin past their space, do like a little acrobatic jump over their head to get behind them. Indy, Knotclaw, or Claudia is actually my arcane rogue. Or at least the little version of her, because in my game I've done some timey-wimey stuff, so this is the younger version of my character from another game that another GM is running. I won't get into that complication. Are these the 5e or the 2024 rules? The short answer is yes. These specific rules are more or less the same between both. I don't think there were any changes to these particular parts for 2024. I myself play 5e, but we've basically stolen what we liked out of 2024, and we've homebrewed those into our 5e games. What do they have to do to succeed that? I've never heard of tumbling before. Also fun and fair. Okay, in order to do a tumble, let me get my cheat sheet because I actually have the rules written out again. Move through hostile space once by winning opposing strength, athletics, advantage if you are larger, or disadvantage if you are smaller. Here it is. Move through a hostile space once by winning opposing acrobatics checks. So that'll be your acrobatics versus the enemies. Yeah, I like having these niche rules handy, Indy, because they don't see a lot of play otherwise, and it's nice to have a couple of tricks up your sleeve. Okay, so that was a couple of the extra things you can do with your action. The most common thing you'll do with your action is probably attacking. So either your ranged weapon, your melee weapon, which will probably have a range of 5 feet, maybe 10 feet for certain weapons with reach, and a lot of spells use your action as well. Interesting, I've never heard of that before. I'll have to keep that in mind the next time I play. I'll tell you about Mark later, because but that's a little more complicated. So when I'm done with the basics, remind me to go back and tell you about marking, because that's a really useful way to get attacks of opportunity without spending your reaction. Yeah, I think you'd like that. I like that. Okay, actions. Yeah, so things like casting spells, things like attacking, things like pushing through an enemy or tumbling through an enemy. all the other good stuff we went here. Grappling, so grabbing onto the enemy, holding onto them, shoving them so you can push them over essentially, or move them a few feet. Disarming, so taking their weapon on them, knocking their weapon out of their hands. And I'll come back to Mark. Okay. Yeah. So we have movement and like the very basics on actions. Object interactions is the next simple one. You get one object interaction on each of your turns. Some older D&D players who maybe played 3.5 or earlier versions will usually call this a free action, but you only get one of those. So an object interaction is literally what it says. It's something that wouldn't take up your full turn, something like really quick. Maybe drawing your weapon, taking something out of your bag, pulling a lever or a switch, just something that takes 1 to 2 seconds is what you can use object interactions for. You can also use it to hand items to other people, which can be really useful in higher level play, especially with wands, or maybe if you're sharing a bow between 2 people. You'd be surprised how often that's come up for our group. Okay, skill checks. I guess it's a good time to explain skills. If we go to Hollowroot's sheet here, you will see all of these. These are all skills. One sec. Excuse me. These are all of your skilly skills. Acrobatics, animal handling, arcana, athletics. These are not the limit of what your character can do. Your character can pretty much do anything you can reasonably think of that they'd be able to. These are just sort of guidelines for you and the DM on what sort of things to roll to decide your success or failure in your attempt. So acrobatics, animal handling, arcana, athletics, we mentioned a couple of times. These all derive from your stats. So Hollowroot here has pretty good charisma, pretty good intelligence, and pretty low strength. And then we can see that reflected in their skills. So charisma, intimidation is a charisma skill. They have a +4 in that. Performance and persuasion, they have +2s in both of those. You might ask Rainbird, why do they have a +4 in one of their charisma skills and +2s in the other? That is because of their proficiency bonus. That is not something we covered the other day. That is something I said we'd get to. So we'll do that now, and we'll come back to the skills. We'll keep the skills in mind. I think it's best if I just get a table. Druid. Since Hollowroot is a druid, we'll just get up the druid table. This is the same across all classes, and it doesn't matter if you multi-class, it still follows the same progression. So if you are 1 level fighter, and then you pick your second, if you're 3 levels in fighter, and then you take 2 levels in paladin, your proficiency will still go up to +3. It won't be like +2 from druid and then +2 from paladin, so it stays at +2. It won't be +2 from druid and +2 from paladin, making a +4. It is always the same growth. So if you're an 8th level character, you have a +3. If you're a 16th level character, you have a +5. If you're a 20th level character, you have a +6. Same across the board for every class. What is proficiency bonus for? This is a way that the developers of the game have put something in to have linear scaling to try and help balance the different levels of the game. So first level players will always have this +2 proficiency bonus to certain things. And +20 players will reliably always have this +6, no matter what other way they've min-maxed or put in their stats to do other things. It's just a nice linear growth for balancing, basically. At like a very high game making level, this is a pretty good solution to a very complex problem of balancing. It doesn't quite fix it, but it's definitely better than not having it. So what does your proficiency bonus actually do? On your sheet, I don't think it says your proficiency bonus, but we can get it from the sheet here, your 3rd level, so you have a +2. That means that if you have proficiency in certain skills, and we did cover that a little bit the other day, if you have proficiency in certain skills, you will add your proficiency bonus to your skill roll. In this example, Hollowroot has a +2 to charisma. That means he can add that +2 to his charisma rolls. For intimidation in particular, he has a proficiency bonus. With the proficiency bonus, that means he also gets to add his proficiency bonus number, which is 2. So 2 charisma plus 2 proficiency is 4. And there's also something called expertise, which is the next sort of level above that. And it basically lets you add proficiency an extra time. So if Hollowroot had expertise in intimidation, he would add a +4. That's double his proficiency bonus to his 2 charisma, meaning this should be 6. Yeah. Now, that was a lot of saying proficiency. That particular word, I said it an awful lot, so I imagine it's very confusing. To simplify it all, if you have proficiency in something, you're probably adding your proficiency bonus, and it levels with you. That's the quickest, shortest, simplest way. It also affects things like your ability to attack. You add your proficiency bonus to your attack rolls of certain kinds. And I don't think you add it to damage. You only add your flat skill. We'll come to the actual attacking thing in a moment. Yeah, I think that's the main place you have to worry about proficiency. The other place proficiency comes up is the things you can actually use. So when we were gearing out Hollowroot, I gave him leather and a wooden shield because he has proficiency in medium armors, being a druid, and he has proficiency in shields, which basically means things your character is allowed to use. They can use other higher armor and weapons, but they get automatic disadvantage on certain things. Yeah, basically stick with the things you are proficient in is my recommendation. Same with the weapons. Druids are proficient in specific weapons. Example, the quarterstaff and the sling were both on their list of weapons they have proficiency in. You can see the armors. You can see tools, and you will get extra tools from your background as well. Oh, saving throws. Every class has proficiency in their saving throws as well. That's up at the top here. This is mostly used against spells and area of effect things. your saving throw is what you will roll to try to succeed against stuff. So a lot of spells that mess with your mind, you will have to roll a wisdom save. For Hollowroot here, he has proficiency in wisdom, so he has a +3. 1 from wisdom and 2 from proficiency. And he will roll a d20, and he will add 3. His 2 proficiencies are intelligence and wisdom, so he'll get that bonus to both of those. Okay, where were we? Skill checks. Now we get back to skill checks. The proficiency has been talked about. Okay, basically, if you're a very new player, I would just tell the DM what you want to do, and then they will tell you what you need to roll for it. And as you basically more get the hang of things, instead of saying, I'll just give a random example here. You're in a shop and you're trying to barter for a cheaper price. You can ask your DM, hey, how I want to barter for a cheaper price. How do I do that? They'll probably be a bit more RP than that, but they can tell you roll a d20 +2 and see if you can persuade them. And then when you've played a couple of sessions, you've gotten the hang of all of your skills and things, you know what they all do. Maybe you'll be the one saying to the DM, hey, can I roll a persuasion to convince this guy to give me a cheaper price? Yeah. Should I go through all the skills, or does that give like a rough idea of how they work? Or has everyone fallen asleep already? Basically, acrobatics, you can think of doing your dexterity related things. Maybe catching stuff as well could be acrobatics. But, you know, your backflips, your sleight of hands. No, sleight of hands is a separate skill. Yeah, acrobatics, backflips, and such. Think Olympic acrobatics. Animal handling, that's your interactions with animals. Do you have a horse? Do you have a pet? Basically, how well you can interact with them or control them. Arcana. Arcana, basically anything ancient. We usually use this, or it's generally used for magic. So if you're examining like a magical artifact, trying to figure out a magical trap, things like that, you can roll an Arcana. Maybe you can glean some idea of how it works. Athletics is essentially your strength skill. Lifting, pushing, wrestling, that sort of stuff. Deception, I think that is pretty self-explanatory. It is lying. History is usually remembering things you studied. Insight, trying to... this is usually paired against deception. Trying to figure out if what someone is thinking or feeling from like their facial expressions and such. Intimidation, that's also self-explanatory, I think, intimidating someone. Investigation, this ranges from like CSI, trying to figure out what happened in a crime scene, searching through stuff usually. Medicine's pretty varied. You might have to roll a medicine if so at some DM tables you're not allowed to say what your current health is. You might be able to roll a medicine and they might give you like a descriptor to give you some idea. I think because it is a game, the players should just know each other's health. I don't think that ruins the immersion of roleplay. I think we've all been playing video games for however many years, 20 years or so. We're all used to seeing our co-op players' HP, usually above their head. So, yeah, that was just an example. Another thing would be like trying to figure out an illness affecting a village or something like that. Or in the case of some games I've played, risky and complex surgery. Nature, it's all about, plants and junk. Slightly different to tracking, which would fall under survival. Nature is usually like being able to tell about plants. You might use it for herbalism-y stuff. Gather intel about like local biomes. We do a general ask without giving numbers. How is everyone looking? And then answer good or not great. General indication of health. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, and it's cool if everyone at the table is happy to do that. I personally, it really takes me out of the game, or it takes me out of immersion to have to do a sort of roundabout way. If I asked, hey, how much HP do you have left, and you said 5, I would like completely, just accept that. I had one player say if I had to put it on a scale of 1 to 47, I'd say 23. I think that's pretty immersion breaking right there. But yeah, it varies table to table. It's just something I wanted to mention. I'm perfectly fine with it at my table. Other tables that I play at are not so okay with it, and that is also fine. I will play by those rules when I'm there. Perception is kind of a weird one. Now, I used to play 3.5. That's the edition that I started playing, and it used to have spot and listen as 2 separate skills. In 5e, to streamline things, they just made 1 perception skill, and this is your hearing, your seeing, your ability to sense and pick things up. I liked it slightly more broken down, but this is a pretty good way to streamline it. We do that too sometimes on a scale of 1 to 20. How difficult would you say this is? We mostly do it as a joke when asking the DM, though. Yeah, it was mostly a joke at our table as well. I just find it immersion breaking. Like, not that everything has to be immersion breaking. Sometimes our games are just, fun, chatting, hanging out with friends. Yeah. Oh, since I'm on perception, I should mention passive perception. That is this number down here. Passive perception. Basically, passive perception is for noticing things around you to give the dungeon master a difficulty class to roll against. So if a monster is sneaking up on you, if there's something stealthed around you, or if someone is trying to pickpocket you, your passive perception is what is being rolled against. Yeah, that's pretty much passive perception. Religion could be remembering stuff about infernal or celestials from like maybe books you've studied, or it could be just knowing about other religions in general, or knowing about other religious cultures, I guess. Sleight of hand is one of my favorite ones. This is for lockpicking, stealing stuff, that sort of thing. Being dexterous with your hands. Juggling. Stealth is the being sneaky roll. This one in particular uses your action. Some skills a DM will just ask for as a free thing on your turn, but stealth in particular usually costs your action. As Indy mentioned earlier, as a rogue, you can use your bonus action for that. And survival is the actual tracking one as opposed to nature. Yeah. like hunting, tracking things down, finding game, finding food, berries, some overlap with medicine there. So you find a trail of blood, you might use a survival to follow the trail and a medicine to see how badly whoever you're tracking is bleeding out. Things like that. It's usually up to the DM to tell you what you need to do or what to roll. Or you can ask when you have a little more experience. And then tools and tool proficiencies. There's a whole bunch of tools available. I'm not going to go into all of them. Hollowroot has a herbalism kit, so making up basic potions from herbs and things. This is the skill they'll roll to check that. Whew. Okay, I'm going to call that basics on skills, unless the class has any questions. Feel free to raise your hands at any point. Okay. Bonus actions. Bonus actions are very specific things that will be specified. If you do X, you can do Y as a bonus action. Who's a good example with a load of bonus actions I can do? Oh, rogues. Rogues are a good example. Rogues have something called cunning actions, which means they can do a couple of things as bonus actions instead of an action. So, yes, more rogues, Indy. So, what's a good one? Action hide is one we covered a little bit there. That's probably a very good example. Our little Hollowroot here, our little gnome, would have to use an action to hide. Our rogue, Indie Ninja, they could use their action to attack, use their movement to go behind a rock, and then use their bonus action, because they have their cunning action ability, to hide behind the rock, and then on the next turn get a surprise, try to get their sneak dice from hidden. There's a whole load of things each class and certain abilities can do with bonus actions. I like to maximize what I can do on my actions, bonus actions, and reactions. And on some characters, I'll make a little action economy box, a little table, and I'll just list some of my bonus actions and reactions just to give me a quick reminder of what I can do. So this is actual Claudia. She's a null, so she has a bonus action called Rampage, so we can look at that as an example. When you reduce a creature to 0 hit points with a melee attack on your turn, so you have hit an enemy, you have taken them out, they are at 0 hit points, you may use a bonus action to move up to half your speed and make a bite attack. So in this case, you have fulfilled the first part, you've defeated an enemy with a melee attack, you've reduced them to 0. With your bonus action, you can move up to half your speed. I believe for Claudia that is 20 feet because her speed is 40. And you can make a bite attack. Okay. What's another one? Here's a spell example. Misty Step. It is a spell. It costs your bonus action to cast. I don't think I need to go too much into that unless we look at spells in general. Maybe I should look at spells in general and the action economy cost. The main thing about casting spells in this turn order thing is that on your turn, you can only cast one leveled spell as a action. You can't cast a leveled spell with your action and then cast another leveled spell with your bonus action. You can only do that with cantrips. So you could bonus action Misty Step, and then you could action to use a cantrip, but you can't action to use a leveled spell on your turn. That is a rule. It's simplified slightly more in the 2024 rules. It's essentially the same, but it's the phrasing of it is a little clearer. All right, we'll put a pin on bonus actions and see if we need to come back to it. Reactions. This is one of my favorite parts of a turn. Reactions don't have to happen on your turn. You get one per round. So if Aaron uses his reaction here, it won't come back till we go through the whole turn order and it comes back to his turn. But he might use it on Cheeseburger's turn, and then it'll come back when we get back to him at the top of the order. I don't know if I explained that too well. Reactions can be used essentially anywhere in a round. There are a whole bunch. The most common one you'll see is the attack of opportunity. Okay? When you have an enemy next to you, if you have a reaction, if that enemy tries to run away, you can make an attack against them. That is the very basics of opportunity attacks, I think. Attacks of opportunity are something that cost your reaction, though. So you can only make one attack of opportunity. So if you have, let's duplicate our glob. I'll put one here. Okay, so we've had Not Claw's turn. She still has her reaction. Glob 1 makes a run for it. Not Claw does an attack on it as it's running away. She gets the hit. Goo number 2 then also tries to run away. Not Claw has used her reaction, so she doesn't have one, so she can't make an attack of opportunity. There are a whole bunch of spells and abilities that also use reaction, so you have to be very careful on what you spend it on during your turn. Depending on how you've built your character, attacks of opportunity might be the only thing you have to worry about. My character, Claw, is built around doing as much as possible with each of her turns, so I usually have something for actions, bonus actions, and reactions. You can see she has a whole bunch of reactions here. So she has Brace because she has a few levels in Fighter. This is an ability where if an enemy steps within 5 feet of her, she can make an attack on them. Uncanny Dodge. This is a classic rogue ability. This means that she can take half damage from an attack she can see. Silvery Barbs, which is a very fun spell, is a spell that basically makes the enemy roll an extra dice and takes the lower one. It also gives advantage to you or another player you can see. And Shield, which is also a great reaction, just increases your armor class for the rest of that round till it comes back to you. Hoof. Okay. That's kind of the very basics on reactions. Okay. Anyone have something they want me to go into more? I can come to Mark for Indy because that's something I want to tell her about. But I also have ads in 1 minute. So I might leave that till after the ad. I'll just have a hydrate for myself. I wonder if little Aaron's fallen asleep. Good night, Aaron. Good night. I wonder who we'll raid into. I'll raid into someone ASMR since it's late when I'm done. Which I nearly am. It's not going to be a super long stream. I started late. And I'm scatterbrained and my throat is at me. Oh, 13 on the D20. Very nice, Indy. That redeem doesn't do anything extra right now. It's just a roll on the table. I have made adjustments to the initiative roll to make it a check-in, as I mentioned earlier. 13's not bad. That's without your modifier as well. I don't know what your modifier would be. Probably something awesome. Yeah, we'll wait till after ad break. So I'll go to BRB and then I'll talk about marks for a bit. What was I rolling for? Well, I don't know. I didn't ask for a roll. Being an awesome chatter. Let me check the DC. Yeah, you beat it. You beat it by 1. Good job. Yeah, we'll go to the BRB screen for just till the end of the ad. Perfect, because my charisma modifier is like +4. I know. I've seen your stream. We all know. Okay, over to BRB. And I'll reset all the games. Break. And I'll play 2. And I'll go for a wander. And since it also should work, we'll go for a drop as well, because why not play all of the games? This was my ultimate solution to, do people want to play the parachute game or the maze? I'll just have both on. Oh, it's so close. Come on, Mia. It does work, but can you get it in? Indy, I think you've seen this game. Oh yeah, I was just gonna say you can actually use any remote you have, any emote you have access to. Should work. So if you want to drop your little shadow guy. I am just grabbing my drink there. I'll give you guys like till the end of the ad to gather up your points. Alrighty, ad break done. How'd everyone do? Indy's got the big number there, I think. Gonna drop an end on that. 104 indie, nice. Maybe that's what you were rolling for. Yay. Let's switch on back here. I also realized I didn't have any tunes on. That's how scattered-brained I am today. I hope I'll remember to turn the stream off after I read out. Okay. This is slightly higher level play, but Indy, you might be interested in this ability called Mark. It is in the official DMG and player handbook rules, but it is often overlooked. You declare it on an attack, so when you attack an enemy, you can mark them. Let me get the rules here. With a melee attack, you can mark the target of that attack. The next opportunity attack against the marked target before the end of your turn has advantage and doesn't cost you your reaction. So you can essentially mark a target that you have attacked. It doesn't have to be a hit, just that you've attacked. And that attack, you can get that target, you get a free attack of opportunity on. That's crazy. Yes, I know. And also because rogues can apply sneak attack like once per turn, but if it's not your turn, if it's someone else's turn, you can get in extra sneak dice that way. So yeah, if you can get in multiple attacks of opportunity, you're wrecking the joint. Is that oop or over the top? That is crazy. It's wild. I love it. This is why I built my rogue with what's called Mastermind Fighter, Battlemaster Fighter. So I can use Brace, and what's the other ability I use? I had to swap out something for survivability. Where's claw stats? There we go. Brace is one of them. There was another one. Yeah, so because Brace is a fighter maneuver, when an enemy comes into my 5 feet squares on their turn, it means I get an attack against them, and if the situation is set up, I can also get my opportunity attack, or my sneak dice on them. My sneak dice, that's what I meant to say. Yeah. Love getting my sneak dice not on my turn. Get in as many attacks as possible without ever taking my turn. I've finished people off doing that. Yeah, that covers most of my basic 101s. Namiya or Indy, do you have any questions? Any questions from class? I'll take a little question Q&A section, and if not, then we'll look for someone chill to raid into, because it's just a pretty chill stream. I'm a little frazzled from the follow-a-thon thing. I haven't streamed this many hours before, or talked this many hours in my life, I think. No, I'm pretty versed on the basics, lol. Okie dokie. I might do, like, more complex stuff, like the mark thing I mentioned, like rare rules and things, another time. That might be a little more interesting for you, Indy. Okay, I guess that's pretty chill. I guess we'll find someone to raid out to, because I'm kind of out of the very, very basics. Let's look for someone. Thank you for going over them. It's a lot at once, but very interesting. No problem. I think it's a little scattered and disorganized. I do want to do this at some point in like a YouTube video format where I won't be stumbling over my words, because it'll be more scripted and edited. That's okay. Thanks. I think I want someone ASMR-ish. Well, that's a good idea. Thank you. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of ideas of videos I want to do. Let's see who I'm following first. Beatrice doesn't have too many viewers. She's a nice ASMR artist. Everyone else I follow right now who is on is Biggie Big. So I think Beatrice is a nice sized person to raid into. Yeah. I have to work out, even for streams, I have to organize and work out more on what I should go over. One thing I do want to do in, I'm going to say the near future, but I'm going to specify like this year, as in not necessarily in the next month or so, is like little live D&D events. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it. But basically letting you guys each control characters, letting the chat control characters to do their basic actions and things, and doing like a very, very simplified version of a combat encounter or something like that. So it might be like adventurers have gotten into the dungeon and they've gotten down to my level, like my lower level, and you guys are a set of grizzly beans that are gonna hold them off and take care of them. You get a couple of turns to set up traps and such, and then there's like a combat event, something like that. That's my outline. I haven't finalized it perfectly yet. But yeah, anyway, we'll raid. I'm out of gas. I'm tired. I'll try to sleep earlier tonight, and tomorrow is the last day of the Followathon, and we'll do something like relaxing, chill, ASMR, maybe just chatting in general, but with a little more whispery voice. We'll go with the whispers. We'll do a lot of word repetition and such. And maybe if Namiya asks really nicely, I'll do the northern accent as well. I might make that a redeem for the day. It's up to ye. Okay, thank you very much for hanging out, everyone. Just go straight over to Beatrice. Have fun, you guys. She's super chill. I hope she won't wake up Aaron. She shouldn't. It should be a lot more relaxing than me. A new accent unlock. Cause I was saying to Namiya that I'm half Nordy. Technically, my father is from Dublin. Not Dublin, Derry. My mother's from Dublin. I can't do a Dublin accent. You have to go to Ymir for that. Okay, we are ready to raid. Have fun, guys. It was really nice spending time with you. I've started getting really excited to start my stream and talk to all of you. Fun. I do a few accents pretty well. All right, next time you're streaming indie, I'm gonna barge in and get you to do all of your accents. I demand it, or politely request it. Okay, night, guys. Have fun. Bye. Oh, raid message. The usual. It's dungeon raid. Raid. Dungeon raid for EP beans. That sounds good. And I'm gonna copy that. And you guys have a good night. Sleep well.